On the 23rd of December.
Black Sunday. Oh, 2001.
2001.
Black Sunday.
You were with him throughout the day?
Yes.
Tell me the story of that day.
Yeah. You know the story. Well, we started early in the morning. I was to pick him up. We had decided that on Sunday we'll go to Holy Communion together. Because he had been traveling, he had gone to America, he had come back, he had opened up. Then my mom's investiture was a few days before. This was even after the cap removal in Ife on the 15th of December. So there was a lot happening. And then we were in Lagos together the Thursday. My sister's birthday was the 22nd, the day before Saturday. So he said he needed to be in Ibadan to just wish her a happy birthday. So I should come on Sunday. Then we'll go to church, Holy Communion. And then in the afternoon we'll head out to SRK, which was our normal ritual Christmas period. 5-6 days in SRK from the 22nd through the 27th, 28th. Anyway, so I came in the morning and my wife said, and this is your father, let him rest now. Yeah, you go to church. And then so my dad said, okay, go ahead, I'll get some rest. When you come back from church, then we'll plan our trip to SRK. So went for a 7 o'clock service. By 9:30, 9:45 I was back in his house. So he now said, oh, young man, he calls me Olumuyiwa, my beloved. We're going to Lagos. I said, Lagos, okay. He said, okay, brother. He calls his older brother. He had to go and pick up his older brother. He was frail and he needed to be with his other two brothers in Ibadan, Uncle Dele and obviously my father. I said, okay, let's go. So about 11:30 we set out. Harrowing 3.5 hour trip. Traffic, it was awful. Got to Lagos, to Igbobi, picked his brother up. Another 3.5 hour trip back to Ibadan. By about 7 o'clock.
He had his security men with him?
Oh yeah.
How many of them?
There was the pilot, the pilot, my dad's car, the spare car, and the escort. So easily about 8.
8 armed?
No, those that were armed would probably have been about 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Was there a DSS?
Yeah, of course. The chief detail was there.
And you were in the same car with him?
I was in the same car.
Were there discussions in the car?
You mean with my father? Of course. Yes, sir.
Was there a DSS officer in that car?
Yeah.
Was there any discussion? Did that?
No, okay, you mean my conversation with my father? We're just talking daddy and son.
So was the DSS officer communicating? He
was telling me
anybody?
about some of the things he wanted me to do, that I should start building my house and things like that. Just daddy and son conversations. Now the DSS was on the phone, just checking in, giving information to certain people as we're going. So at a point I said, why are you on the phone? Why are you telling everybody where we're going? If there's anything, we're going to SRK. You don't have to tell everybody we're going to Lagos or our movement. Anyway, later found out that there was some hanky-panky going on. So we went to Lagos, came back, went to my uncle's house, and then from there went to Oluyoro Hospital to check in the older brother, Uncle George. And then came back home.
So when you got home, what happened?
As we were approaching the house, and then there was the issue of what they wanted to eat. So my dad said, okay, that they must not go to eat here. They must go and drop off my aunt before going to eat.
Who was going to eat?
The chief detail had asked that. No, I think it was even my dad that asked them that. Have you guys eaten? We've been traveling all day. We stopped over in Lagos and in Igbobi to pick up my uncle. So whether they had something to eat there or not, I can't remember. But anyway, as we came home, my dad said no. That, after they shall have dropped her off, then they can go and get something to eat. Now, as we were driving, pulling into the house, the Bodija police security personnel, they were detailed to the residents. 2 of them were not there. I observed that and I was like, it's almost 8 something. They're supposed to change the shift at 6. The ones in the morning, overnight to 6 p.m. were there. But the ones to take over didn't show up. So my dad said, okay, whenever they show up, they should let them know so they can get their Christmas present. Everybody gets a Christmas present from my father. So we went in. And then less than 8, 9, 10 minutes later was when the invaders came.
The invaders?
Okay, the murderers, the assassins. Nobody has ever come into that house. No, there's never been an armed robbery in that house. Ever. Ever.
By this time, did Bola Ige give the security men the permission to leave the compound?
No, I was there. We were together.
Remember they said, he asked them if they had eaten.
My aunt had gone upstairs.
Okay.
So they were going to take my aunt to Oluyole here, just round the corner.
Before going to eat?
Then they would come back.
So your aunt was still upstairs?
Yes.
When the invaders arrived?
Yes. It's a 70-year-old woman.
You were with your dad when the invaders came?
No, I was... Well, if I were with him, maybe it would have been a different story. But I wasn't.
Where were you?
He had just come and put his agbada on his shoulder. He said, Oluwiwa, my beloved, we're going tomorrow morning. So he was going to pack the Christmas lights. So at that point, he went upstairs to his room. Then my son, my wife, and my aunt, who had just come back, we now went up to the 2 wings of the house. And so sat, they asked her if she wanted anything to eat. They were getting ready to bring the amala. And then my son was playing with my wife was playing with my son, and then my mom was carrying. Anyway, everybody was just, it was just a lovely evening. And then my wife asked the nanny to bring my son's food. And then she went away. 3 minutes, 5 minutes, she hadn't come back. So she was calling Bumi, Bumi, and then she walked out of the room to towards the staircase. As she was walking, I just noticed that she did a stutter step. So you know how somebody who's walking and then just kind of jerks. So I'm like, okay, what in the world is going on? So I just dashed out of the room, like, what's happening? And then 2 guys came up the stairs, one with a pump action and the other with a pistol. Then corralled all of us into the room. And then I'm noticing that we are bloody civilians in this place. Oh.
Were they masked?
No! Bloody civilians in this place. Where are our own security people? How could anybody come in with a gun? Who? How? My father's house is a town hall, but it's a place where you can walk in and go to my father's bedroom. He'll talk to you. His house was a town hall. Every day, hundreds of people would come to the house just to meet with Uncle Bola. And so now all of a sudden, 2 guys in, not knowing if there were many outside, they cordoned us off into the room, and then just realized that the security personnel were not here, and my dad was isolated. What in the world is going on? Anyway, so they were ransacking stuff. They didn't touch me. And my mom said, God bless her soul. She sat up and was talking to them. And your mommy, they sent us to come and kill you. Don't kill anybody. What do you want? We don't have money, but Oinda, take off your jewelry. They put everything on the bed. So the guy put the gun down. I was spread eagle on the bed. Everybody else was on the floor. And then my mom was sitting in a chair like this. And I'm thinking, grab the gun. Grab the gun. Chicago mentality. And as soon as the guy just came out of the bathroom, say, if you move, damn. Then about maybe 20 seconds later, that was a long time, just a boom,
a gunshot.
So when I heard that, I'm thinking, maybe it's the security people that were not with us that had gone to hide somewhere and they had engaged whoever came in. Now keep in mind, there were 2 with us, right? Then about 5 seconds later, I just said, Mopo, let's go.
So locked us left.
Locked us in. So I crawled to the phone, tried to use the phone. It's like, Daddy, what the hell's going on?
You tried to use the phone?
Yeah. To call the police now.
So what happened to the phone?
No, nothing happened to the phone. Well, eventually I tried to call, we couldn't get anybody. Then
Did he ring? Did the phone ring at any other end?
No, maybe they had cut it off or something. Because I tried, it was like one of these dial things. So then I heard my nephew just a few minutes later. So surreal. We're locked up. Everybody's on the floor. I'm on the bed. So I came down. I crawled to grab the phone to move it away. And then I'm looking under the door, and I was hearing my nephew and then my sister. So I kind of looked like, okay, it doesn't seem as though the invaders were still inside the house. So I called my nephew's name and I said, they've locked us in, open the door. And then he opened and I just said, Daddy. I just ran to my father's room. Then there's like an inner chamber before the main room. As soon as I made the turn, I just saw him on the floor. I was like, damn. Hey. And I'm thinking, how? So I looked in his eyes, just there like this. And I saw on the left side, there was a tissue coming out. I now looked at his nostrils and thought, okay, push this back in. Then started CPR. But I noticed that there was blood. I was like, oh, okay. You know what? Guys, help me. In the meantime, the crazy security personnel and the driver now came upstairs. Now, in the meantime, they'd seen my sister down and told her that everybody was upstairs, including my dad. But we later found out they had come up, touched him, and went and stayed downstairs. If my sister had not come,
find her?
Well, during the trial now,
they had come up.
The chief detail touched him
and went back.
His principal
and went down.
Callous,
without raising any alarm.
Zilch. And then you're now interrogating, or you're now playing with the grandchild and then telling the daughter that everybody's upstairs. Callous. Anyway, he's dead now. What?
So they were not around when the invaders came.
They gave rites of passage. Because even during the trial, we found out that as they got to the junction, one of the so-called suspects who lived around the corner, who ran away, met with them and said, "Shorty day?" And they said yes. And then they now left. We heard that during the trial. And nothing happened.
Who recounted?
Who recanted? The star witness, the security that I was paying.
Why did he change his mind?
Nigeria happened to him. In the sense that I had been told that they were trying to reach him at Alagmo. They said they wanted to put him under witness protection. And they put him in the same cell with the prime suspect. Does that make sense? So, I gotten word that they were trying to reach him. And I said, okay, I called Chief Akonde. I said, let's go to Alagmo. I'm the one paying his salary now. I was the one paying all my father's staff salaries when I came back. Like, okay, my brother, don't betray us. What's the issue? Okay, he needs to send money to his family. Okay, no, I gave him 250,000 naira, sir.
He saw the invaders when they walked in.
They slapped him upside the head now. Put a gun to his head.
So
he identified them at the what do they call this? When you bring out the suspects.
He identified them.
Yes. And then on the 9th of April, I testified in February, March. My sister testified. He recanted. Ha! That's the end of the case. Your star witness, where all the dots were now being plugged. I's were being dotted, T's were being crossed. You now throw the thing upside down. That you can't remember anybody again. Can you imagine? And in the meantime, the states, Lamadeshino had lost elections. It was Ladoja who was coming in, PDP government. So they had to dance to the tune. So they were preparing to file nolle prosequi. No case submission on behalf of the state.
Then
that's what killed my mom.
That's what killed your mom.
Yeah,
she couldn't take it.
She could not sleep. From that 9th, 10th morning, she passed on in my arms.
In your arms?
I don't see fire. Well, it is well.
Sorry about that. Who removed Bola Ige's cap from his head in Ife?
That again is another unfortunate story where you're a chief detail, state service. Your principal is in front of you. You're claiming that some people, some thugs, are behind you. They're able to reach over your own head, to remove your principal's cap, and throw it up. To remove your principal's necklace and glasses in one fell swoop. And those that were in the palace then, there was this character called Omishore and Frayo. He was the leader of the thugs that were there on that day.
The same Frayo?
Yeah, the same Frayo. That's the one that was arrested now. How did you get so close? But in the meantime, my father was so trusting. He just said, even Ezekiel, he did very well. He said, Dad, he didn't do well. How could they get so close to you in the palace of the Oni that you gave the staff of office? Haba. Sacrilegious.
That was a sign.
Well, terrible.
By this time, Omishore was the deputy to Bisi Akonde.
Yeah, he was giving Akonde trouble.
And there was really trouble in the cabinet.
He was giving Akonde trouble. But go read Akonde's My Participation. It's brilliant. Baba Akonde situated the character of his deputy and also said that Bola Ige had told him that this one, his antecedents now. He cannot be your deputy. But at the time, it was the new greed. Remember I mentioned new greed? Those 5 fingers of a leprous hand.
You mean new creed?
New greed. Greed. Not they call themselves new breed, but they were new greed. New breed of which kind of politicians that had no ideology, no grounding, but just chop, chop, chop. Okay? Remember my father labeled those parties 5 fingers of a leprous hand. Correct?
That was Abacha's party.
Yeah, Abacha's parties. Because from Babangida into Abacha now. Right? So these were the money bags. And Baba Akonde said he didn't have any money. So this was the guy that financed his campaign and bought his form. So my dad said, no, BC, no. He now went to plead with my dad that they should just allow him to be deputy. And then later my dad said to him that he probably would have been the luckiest guy. Because if Akonde had done 8 years, then if he takes good training, then he could also be lucky enough to be governor for another 8 years. But he was too ambitious. He needed to undo or unseat Baba Akonde.
And Chief Bola Ige was like Akonde's godfather.
Chief Bola Ige was very close to Papa Akonde. Papa Akonde appreciated the relationship he had with my father. I wouldn't say godfather, but they had respect for each other.
By this time...
But if you read Baba's book, it's undiluted, spoke the truth about the relationship, and castigated the overambitious Lilliputians.
Those that removed Bola Ige's cap at the Oni's palace, were they the same people that were fighting Bisi Akonde?
I trust, probably. I don't know. My father was not involved in the Osun Oshun rubbish that was going on.
He was the leader of AD.
He was the leader of AD. He was deputy leader of Afenifere. It was incumbent on him also.
He was from Osun State.
Yes.
He was the arrowhead of the politics of Osun State.
No. How can he be arrowhead? He was a national figure. It was not. How can he be arrowhead of Osun politics? No, you're simplifying it. No.
That was his base.
Bisi Akonde was a governor. He was the leader of the party in Osun. Usually, the order of things. Again, I go back to that. The governor is the leader of the party. The presidential candidate is the leader of the party. Papa Obafemi Awolowo was the presidential candidate. He was the leader of the UPN. I was the leader of the action group at the time.
You know, some have suggested it was state murder.
Has everything in that direction. Whether remotely, overtly, passively. No, honestly, if the state wants to resolve it, they can. I was talking to somebody, I had an interview last week that during the Buhari administration, that we felt, okay, the PDP shenanigans had gone out. They sent a couple of deputy commissioners to come, but it was just Shagbaloju just playing to the gallery. But I have friends that would ask and say, your dad was Attorney General? And they killed him? You guys are barbarians. Can you imagine?
The Minister of Justice did not get justice.
But he will, by the grace of God. He will.
You still believe justice will come?
Bola Ige's blood is... I thoroughly believe it. Capital punishment doesn't go away. There's no statute of limitation. Somebody will trip.